is lesson 5.5. Today we're going to be talking about adding and subtracting like fractions. Now this is a skill that you have talked about for years now, but as each year goes on with math, you kind of repeat things, the basics that you have learned, and kind of add on to it to kind of show you actually why you've learned that basic skill in the first place. So let's go ahead and remind yourself about adding and subtracting like fractions, and then we're going to be adding some variables into the mix to kind of switch things up. Alright, so to add and subtract fractions with like denominators or like fractions, just add and subtract the numerators and keep the denominators the same. So one example is 5/7 plus 3/7 is going to give you 8/7, or 1 1/7. So basically the reason why we don't change the denominator is that we're talking about this many out of this number. So since both of them are talking about out of the same number, we can compare them. So that's why we can just add our numerators. Example number 2, it shows you how you incorporate variables into this. So if you had 4d over 10 minus 2d over 10, you would see that the denominators are the same, and then you'd go ahead and look at the numerators. Now the numerators in this case are terms with the letter d in it. And because both of those terms have a d in it, that's the only reason why you can add them. Like if this was 4d minus 2c, you wouldn't actually be able to simplify or combine them. It would just be 4d minus 2c over 10. Because unless you have the same term here, you can't combine. Alright? So let's go ahead and do some examples. Alright, let's go ahead and look at example number 1. Example number 1 is 1 over 7 plus 5 over 7. Now this is stuff you've seen many, many times already, so it's probably going to be easy for you, but please watch the whole video so that you'll get all filled in all of the details, okay? So alright, so we have 1/7 over 5/7. So basically our denominators are the same, so we know that our denominator at the end is going to be 7. So let's go ahead and add our numerators. 1 plus 5 is going to give us 6. So 6/7 is our final answer. Okay, number 2, we have 2/9 plus negative 4/9. Now, you'll notice that we have a negative sign here. So you're going to have to pull off on the knowledge that you guys learned from adding and subtracting integers. So we're going to be doing like the same thing for that. So you can't forget your rules about subtracting and adding with negatives and positive numbers, okay? So our denominator is the same, so we know that at the end our denominator is going to be 9. So at least we don't have to worry about the denominator. So now let's go ahead and look at our numerator. 2 plus negative 4. So you can think of it several ways. You can think of it as 2 plus negative 4. You can think of it as 2 minus positive 4, because you remember you can flip these two around and it's okay, as long as it's one positive and one negative. It doesn't matter which order. Or you could think of it as in you have one negative and one positive. So we're going to go ahead and subtract the two numbers, and you'll get 4 minus 2, which is going to give you 2. And then in order to figure out if the number is positive or negative, you'll say, okay, well, 4 is negative, and that's our biggest number. So our final answer is going to be negative. Because if you think about it, if you have $2 and I say you owe me $4, or we're taking away $4, you're going to have to owe me $2 in the end because you don't have the whole amount. Okay? So let's go ahead and do some examples. Alright, let's go ahead and do an example with mixed numbers. Now, in this case, we have 2 1/6 plus 8 3/6. So how do we add those when you have the mixed numbers? Now you can do it several ways. The first way, you can go ahead and change them into improper fractions and then add across the numerators. Or you can keep it like this, and you can think of it as 2 plus 8, those are our whole numbers, plus 1/6 plus 3/6. So you can do it that way. So we'll have 2 plus 8, which is going to give you 10. And then 1/6 plus 3/6 is going to give you 4/6. But now, we cannot stop here. Now these two examples did not need to be simplified, but this one does. So always simplify, I tell you that all the time. So let's go ahead and divide out a 2 from both of these. And we're going to have 10 2/3. That will be our final answer. Let's go ahead and look at number 4. This time we have negative 2 4/5 plus 2/5. So we can do it the same way. We'll have negative 2 is going to be our whole number, because we have no whole number over here. So it's just -2, and then we'll have 4 fifths plus 2 fifths, which is going to give you 6 fifths. Alright, we have something interesting here. We have a -2 and 6 fifths. So we have a whole number here, but we also have an improper fraction. So since 5 goes into 6, it goes in one time, we're going to end up having a -3 because we have to add another 1 over here, and 1 fifth. So you could think of it this way, or you could think of it as you'll have 2, and then you'll have 1 and 1 fifth, and then you'll add those together. So however you want to do it. We'll have -3 and 1 fifth. Alright, let's go ahead and look at number 5. We have 6r over 11 plus 2r over 11. And if we add the numerators up, we'll end up with 6, 7, 8r over 11. And that's our final answer because we don't have to simplify. Number 6, we have 19 over a minus 12 over a. So the variables don't just have to be in the numerator, they can be in the denominator as well, because a variable is just an unknown number. So this is a certain number that we don't know what it is yet. Alright, so let's go ahead and subtract 19 minus 12, which is going to give you 7, and then our denominator is going to be a. Alright, let's go ahead and look at our word problem. It says Harry was 62 1/2 inches tall in June. He was 63 7/8 inches tall in September. How much did he grow during the summer? So here's his final weight that we have talked about so far, and this is his starting weight. So in order to find how much he grew, we're going to have to subtract. So look, we're going to have to do 63 7/8 minus 62 1/2. The first thing that I notice here is that our denominators are not the same, which means that we're going to have to make them the same because you cannot add or subtract fractions without like denominators. So since I see that 2 goes easily into 4 or into 8, we're going to multiply by 4. So we're going to multiply by 4. So we're going to have 63 7/8 minus 62. Almost forgot our whole number here. 62 4/8. So now we can go ahead and subtract. So 63 minus 62 is going to give you 1. 7 minus 4 is going to give you 3, and then we'll keep our denominator. So he grew 1 whole inch and 3/8 of an inch. So 1 3/8. Alright. If you have any questions, go ahead and rewind back, watch the whole video again. If you have more questions, you can go into the textbook to see some more examples. And as always, you can bring your questions to me, and I'll be happy to answer them. Let's go ahead and do some on your own questions.
Alright, you have 5 problems to do for me. Number 1 is 3/10 plus 3/10. Number 2 is 2 1/6 plus 8 3/6. Number 3 is -1/8 minus 5/8. Number 4 is x over 8 plus 4x over 8. And number 5 is 5 4/7 c minus 3 1/7 c. So basically the 5 4/7 is the coefficient for the variable c. So it's just as if you'd have 2c minus 1c. So do it like that. Alright, we'll see what you get tomorrow. Good luck.